What is up, Jackal fan?
The United Healthcare CEO was shot and killed outside a New York City Hilton hotel this morning. 50-year-old Brian Williams is the victim.
Investigators say evidence linking Luigi Mangione to the shocking murder of healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City is mounting.
The man charged with the murder of a healthcare executive in New York has appeared in court today in Pennsylvania for an extradition hearing. Luigi Mangione was heard shouting and yelling as he arrived. His lawyer says his client is contesting extradition. The judge has denied bail.
Well, that killing is drawing unexpected reaction on social media.
Nobody deserves to get on their way to work. Nobody deserves to get their healthcare claims denied either.
United Healthcare, by a 90% margin, denied more claims than any other insurance company on the market.
Deny, depose, defend. If that isn't a loud, clear message to all these CEOs across the board of these health insurance companies, I don't know what is.
I gotta talk about this. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I am in no way mourning this guy. I don't think he was a good person. I just also don't think that we should be celebrating murder. So there's multiple layers to this. December 4th, a man named Luigi M waited outside the Hilton Hotel in New York City, and he took a 3D printed gun with a 3D printed suppressor and shot and killed the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, in the back. I understand the dislike, sometimes anger, the hate, the frustration. I understand the frustration. Our system is broken. Our system is very broken. We should not be celebrating murder, you guys. I'm not mourning the guy's death. He's clearly not the best of guys, right? He had a job denying people's healthcare insurance and doing everything they could to not pay for healthcare. So that's fucked up. But it says more about our system than it does about the CEO. Luigi did nothing wrong. Dude, murder is murder. It doesn't matter if you agree with the reasons he got murdered or not. Murder is murder. I understand the sentiment, right? I 100% understand the frustration. I just don't think we should be celebrating this guy. Saying that he did nothing wrong it's weird. To be honest with you, I don't think this is going to change a fucking thing. My problem mainly is that this guy had a family. He has kids. His kids are going to see these. Eventually, they're going to have to also see all these comments about their father. People celebrating their father's death, which is like really fucked up for them. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. Today, we mourn the death of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, gunned down. Today we mourn the deaths of 68,000 Americans who needlessly die each year, so insurance company execs like Brian Thompson can become millionaires. I agree with that sentiment. That's fucked up, and that needs to change. The company is fucking awful. And I know people are like, oh, he went to the top because nobody was listening at the bottom. He didn't go to the top. The top is the shareholders. The shareholders hold all of the power. Brian Thompson was just a person in a seat set there by the shareholders to make sure that their will was fulfilled. Not the amount of power he has to actually make significant change. I mean, I don't know if he would even want to make significant change, but the power he had to actually enact significant change in that company was probably pretty minimal. And whatever hurts the bottom line is going to go up to the shareholders. The shareholders are going to have a fit. Then he gets fired and somebody else takes his place. Somebody who's going to do the same thing because they don't actually give a shit.
My girlfriend had United Healthcare. She went in for a routine mammogram and she got a bill in the mail for $800. She called up the insurance company and she called up the doctor and they said, oh, well, this was a follow-up. She called the doctor's office just to see how much it would cost out of pocket. And they said, if you didn't have insurance, it would be $100. How ludicrous is that? How ludicrous is the fact that people die every day because they don't have health insurance or they can't afford health insurance? People are losing their houses. People are making profits, record profits off of this. How barbaric. in my lifetime, and I'm 50 years old, are we ever going to say, do you remember the days when you could die because you couldn't afford health insurance?
These are the things that are the problem, right? Like every single insurance company does this. This should be considered price gouging. The fact that our insurance is so high because doctors and healthcare facilities charge insurance more than they charge normal people so that they can get more money. And then insurance companies don't really want to pay for that because it's too much. It's too much money. Like $800 for a mammogram opposed to $100. Why are they not just charging $100 to the insurance company? Like, it's become a money thing, and the issue is both sides. You can take out the CEO of a insurance company. If the issue is the entire system itself, what the fuck is that gonna do?
For any of you that think that this CEO assassination is going to have any impact on the American healthcare
This guy, I agree with this guy 100%.
system, I have some bad news for you. CEOs do not care about violence. That is not their language. 10 of their closest loved ones could get shot in the face directly in front of their face, and they wouldn't even bat an eyelash. You know what would make them bat an eyelash? If they wake up one day and profits are down by 5%. That'll make them go, whoa, what the hell?
True.
Violence they see, they go, I don't care. They literally stepped over that guy. They were just like, I'm late, buddy. Sorry. The only thing they will listen is if we can impact their money on a mass scale. And the only way that that happens is if people work together. But unfortunately in this country, they've done such a good job of making us hate each other that we will never be able to act together. And clearly no change is going to come from this. The media is not talking about, hey, maybe there's some issues that we should force the government to iron out. Nope, they're not talking about that. They're just talking about, wow, I can't believe he's Italian. Nothing's going to change. Nothing
will change. 100%. Everyone's like, maybe this will change something. It's not going to change anything. I mean, if you've ever worked for a corporation, it doesn't matter what happens in the company. If somebody dies, they're just like, oh man, that sucks. Okay, here's your new CEO. I used to work for a corporation. A company merged with our company, and the company merging with our company decided that they didn't want any of our C-suite people. So they just let all of our C-suite people go and brought in all of theirs because they don't care. They want to make money and they don't want you around. If you guys liked your previous CEO, oh well, it doesn't change a thing. And the fact that nobody in the government is talking about this, Bernie made like a 2-second video that was like, people are angry. And then that was it. Nobody else is talking about it. Nothing's going to change. All of the CEOs hired security. They just hired more security. They're not planning on changing anything. They're just planning on making themselves safer. I keep seeing memes that say that healthcare CEOs are now safer than U.S. school children.
United Healthcare is a bad organization. They deny coverage. They make it harder for people to get the things that they need. They will delay people from getting chemotherapy, from getting heart surgery. And they do it because they deny, not based on intelligent people looking at a claim, but based on algorithms that they use. Yeah. Which means your health care, when you're covered by United, is potentially delayed.
And they're not the only insurance company that does this. I have been lucky in my life. Anytime an insurance company or a healthcare provider has done me wrong, I have threatened to sue and they have dropped it completely. But that's not everybody's case. Like, my wife almost died because of Sutter Health in California. She had a miscarriage. She was bleeding a lot, and they did literally nothing to help her. She went to the hospital. They said, yep, you're miscarrying, and then sent her home. She got home and she passed out in front of me from lack of blood. And I had to call the ambulance again. And when the ambulance got there, they went, what? Why are you here? You should be in the hospital. They took her back and then they kept her overnight, didn't do a fucking thing for her again, set her outside in the cold in a wheelchair and waited for me to come get her while she was sitting all alone. They don't give a fuck. The only reason that they didn't send us a huge bill for both the ambulance and the hospital bill is because I threatened to sue them, and they took it seriously, and I never heard from them ever again. Fuck them.
And delayed treatment can have devastating consequences. Corporations are not doctors. They shouldn't be practicing medicine. In California, it's against the law for insurance companies to undergo what we call the corporate practice of medicine. It is a corporation, United Healthcare, that needs to be regulated, needs to be broken up into separate parts, and needs to be carefully and tightly controlled because clearly they can't control themselves.
Yeah.
They overpay their executives, they overpay their board of directors, and they do that because they think they deserve your policy dollars instead of having your policy dollars be used for your healthcare. What happened to the CEO is inexcusable no matter how bad the corporation is. But
True.
United Healthcare, right now, as it exists, is an organization that should not be practicing medicine and should not be doing the things that they're doing. They need tighter corporate regulation, much like we regulate utility companies.
Yeah, it's true. They need to be regulated. It's not going to get better unless it's regulated. We either let them, the issue is privatized medicine. If you let them privatize medicine, then this shit happens. Like, people can't afford it. People can't deal with it. We are the only highly developed superpower in the world that doesn't have good healthcare, and it doesn't make any sense, especially since this isn't a problem that only the left is bringing up. I see this coming up between the left and the right. Both sides are complaining about these problems. Both sides were celebrating this guy's murder. Both sides. We agree on this.
Dude, I'm seeing so many people criticize the reactions of excitement about the United Healthcare CEO getting shot. They're like, this is not okay. This is an innocent man who was.
Never said he was innocent. I don't think he's innocent. I think he definitely plays a role in how awful the policies are. I don't think he makes the policies, but he definitely had power to, push back on the policies. Not as much power as everyone seems to think he has, because again, the shareholders hold all the power. If the shareholders want it, the shareholders are going to get it, whether you're in power or not.
Killed. You cannot celebrate the killing of an innocent man.
Should not celebrate the killing of a man. I didn't say he was innocent. No, did not say that. Okay, here's an example. The 2 times in this past election that whoever tried to assassinate Trump tried and failed. I didn't hear very many people on the left celebrating the fact that somebody tried to kill Trump. We don't like Trump on the left. I am on the left, in case you're wondering. But we didn't celebrate somebody trying to murder Trump because that's fucked up. And you shouldn't celebrate that. It shouldn't happen. Political violence should never be a thing. Just stop right there. It shouldn't.
This is a dude whose job it is to commit murder behind a corporate veil. They are wolves who want to kill you for money. These are people whose job it is to take money from you and then make you think that you're going to be covered when an emergency happens. And then when your 4-year-old daughter has leukemia, they go oh, dude, stall. She'll die. Just wait it out. She'll die. And if she doesn't die, buy us time to find out why we can, deny this claim. It doesn't matter. Fuck them. And I'm seeing so many people say vigilante justice is never okay. It's never okay to do that.
I mostly agree with this guy. That is fucked up. And it sucks that we don't have more choices. The only way for privatized insurance company and privatized medicine to work is if we have options that are cheaper. We don't have options that are cheaper. So everyone's going to United Healthcare because it's one of the biggest healthcare providers in the country. They're going to keep making money. And he is absolutely right. They are waiting until something bad happens and being we don't cover that. That's fucked up. They were also trying to make it so that if you went to the hospital for an emergency and it wasn't an emergency, then fuck you. You pay for it. It's just fucked up too. They should be held accountable for these fucked up things that they say. If I pay for something, I better fucking get the thing I paid for. Don't tell me last minute, oh no, you can't do that. Car insurance is expensive too, right? We have options. There's cheap options and there's more expensive options, but we have options. It's not the same with healthcare. We don't have that many options. United, Anthem, I've never heard of Centene. Kaiser, I used to have Kaiser. Humana, Blue Cross is on here multiple times. HealthNet. If I went to, there's so many options for car insurance. USA, State Farm, Mercury, Liberty, Progressive, Allstate, Geico, Travelers. There's a lot of car insurance plans, which is why, while they're not always the most affordable, they're way more affordable than healthcare. My family went without healthcare for a really long time. I was making 6 figures and I couldn't afford healthcare. I looked up how much it would cost for healthcare for me and my family. There's 5 of us. And it was over $1,000 for the cheapest plan a month. Over $1,000 a month for the cheapest plan. And on 6 figures, I can't afford that. I already had rent. I already had all kinds of stuff that I had to pay. I could not afford insurance. That's fucked up. It's also fucked up that my who I work for didn't provide it.
It ain't okay for the first option, but nothing else is happening. You'd like to think that there's laws in place that prevent people from committing the corporate murder. Like everyone's like, oh, it should go to the courts then. If it's a crime, it should go to the courts. You'd love to see that, but it ain't happening. It doesn't happen. These people get away with it and they get paid millions for it.
He's complaining that there's no laws in place. Killing the CEO doesn't change that. I've seen complaints from the left. I've seen complaints from the right. We all want the same thing. Better health care, cheaper health care, affordable health care. But every time something gets in the works, the other side fights it. If we want better health care, stop fighting us getting better health care. It doesn't make any sense. Obama tried to put in a really good healthcare plan and everybody fought it. And then he got out of office and they tried to undo it. Now they're coming back into office, the right, and they've literally said that they're going to undo the Affordable Health Care Act. We are complaining that healthcare is broken, but also the right is trying to destroy affordable healthcare. That doesn't make any sense.
Because the people who are in charge of that you'd hope would create laws that would protect you, they're getting checks under the table. They don't give a fuck. They're like, the people who could stop this are like, yeah, we looked at the laws, and actually the fine print actually kind of says that we actually haven't found any crimes here, so we're going to let this continue on without punishment. I did surprisingly get my 3rd yacht overnight, so I will be taking that to the south of France if you need to reach me. When you have money, you manipulate the game. And when you don't have money, you get manipulated. And you don't get to be upset when you push people to the point of having nothing, and then they act as if they have nothing. Because let's entertain the hypothetical here that this is a very real chance that this was like a victim of this guy's healthcare bullshit, insurance shit, and he had a daughter with leukemia who they denied his claim and the daughter died. Like, dude, I said about my dad, like my dad is like the ultimate, like, don't fuck with my family type guy, or we're both going down together type. Like, he's old school, blue collar Alberta dude. Like, fuck, we're Canadian, so we have fucking healthcare, thank God. But dude, if you took away one of his kids because he was paying you for healthcare, and then you were like, what's your son's name? Connor? Oh, we only cover children with 7-letter names, not 6. Dude, let's just say he's not showing up with with subsonic rounds and a mask on, dude. He's showing up.
I mean, this guy is Canadian, so his opinion doesn't matter. No, just kidding. Nothing should ever make me agree with Candace Owens. This is fucked up. This lady is the devil.
United Healthcare was widely criticized for a plan to start denying payment for what it deemed non-critical visits to the hospital emergency rooms. So essentially you arrive at the hospital and they can just decide whether or not afterwards, because that's how it all works. It's afterwards, you're blindfolded, that actually, no, we don't really think that you should have gone to the hospital, so we're just going to deny you coverage. And so you're just going to get stuck with a $10,000 bill. The hospital, they just give you stuff and don't tell you how much it costs. And then you look and they're like, no, that's $100 a pill. And now you owe us $10,000 for a hospital visit.
And they shouldn't have to tell you, right? Like,
United Healthcare was widely criticized for a plan to start denying payment that you payment for what it were at the hospital. It deemed non-critical.
Okay, there we go. All right. They shouldn't have to tell you. Like, it should just be covered. Like, these medications aren't that expensive unless you go through a healthcare provider. Then they're expensive because they want more money. And they know that healthcare providers are going to pay it until they don't pay it. So they get away with charging these ridiculous fees. And then you get fucked over as a result. Like, the price gouging needs to stop. I remember right after 9/11, the Twin Towers had just fallen. Gas prices skyrocketed for basically no reason. Fear, pretty much. They skyrocketed. They went over $5. And at that time, to see $5, that was insane. Gas was like $1.20 at the time. It was cheap. Well, cheaper. It was affordable. And $5 was insane. But the government was like, you guys are price gouging, stop. And prices went back. We don't see that with healthcare. We don't see that with many things. And that needs to change, I think. It really does. And if you got me and Candace Owens agreeing, then there's an issue.
Decide after, like, play with people's entire financial lives. They said, quote, patients are not medical experts and should not be expected to self-diagnose during what they believe is a medical emergency. It's incredible. That's what the chief executive of the American Hospital Association wrote in an open letter that was addressed to Thompson, essentially threatening patients with a financial penalty if they made the wrong decision. You're only going to the hospital because there's so few doctors that you can even go to under your insurance plan. You got to follow the doctor hours. Doctor then has to be available, especially as you get into the lower tier of coverage. They have way too many patients because people don't have the money to be able to.
And as a parent, sometimes in the middle of the night, your kid will be coughing and it'll be alarming, or coughing, or they'll be lethargic, especially for new parents. Something happens to your child and you think that you need to take them to the hospital, and you take them to the hospital and they don't actually need anything like that. It sucks to then be like, oh, now I have to pay for that out of pocket. I've been lucky in that, like, I don't get panicky, for one. I only take my kids to the hospital if I feel like they really need it. And I've really only taken my son to the ER once. Out of all my kids, just the one kid once. And I mean, eventually I'm sure I'll have to take one of them to the hospital because they're children and children get hurt. But he was up all night coughing and wheezing, and he was lethargic and he was screaming, and like it was the middle of the night. So I had held him like all night. So we picked him up and took him to the hospital. It turned out, he was fine. There wasn't any need to go to the hospital. But like, can you imagine that happening and you being panicky and being afraid that your child is like, there's actually something very wrong with your child, and then getting the relief of them being like, no, it's fine. And then getting a bill in the mail being like, now you have to pay this exorbitant amount of money because it wasn't actually an emergency. Yeah, it might not have actually been an emergency, but what if it had? And I didn't go because I was afraid that I was going to get charged. Like, and then something happened to my child. That's not a decision that a parent should have to make. That is absolutely not a decision that a parent should have to make. So, like, I understand the anger and I understand the frustration. I just don't think that we should be celebrating murder. I think that we should be angry at the system for pushing someone so far as to shoot another human. I feel for Luigi. To the feds, I'll keep this short, but I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. A spiral notebook. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for the strife and traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US is the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world. #1 most expensive. That is true. We are the most expensive for healthcare, which is fucking ridiculous. We should not be. Yet we rank 42 in life expectancy. True, our healthcare is not good. United is the largest company in the US market by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. It has grown and grown, but our life expectancy? No. The reality is, these have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for its immense profit because the American public has allowed them. I think that's supposed to be allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space. And frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out a full argument. But many have illuminated the corruption and greed decades ago, and the problem simply remains. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Anyways, and then aside from this, I think I can look past all of this if it wasn't for stuff like this. Not the same fucking thing. Not at all the same thing. And I think this is distasteful, honestly. I've seen some hilarious jokes. That's not one of them. I'm going to blur out the names in this because this is a friend of mine and I don't really want to call them out like that. Bizarre reason why McDonald's worker might not receive the $60,000 reward. Imagine being a narc and can't even cash in. What did the McDonald's employee do? They didn't do anything. If they get nothing, then they get what they deserve. That's not okay. Let's hear that McDonald's employee name on CNN. No. Capitalist shill gonna shill. I am absolutely disgusted by people wishing misfortune on someone just for turning somebody in. I'm going to be 100% real. I have struggled a lot in my life to make ends meet. For a while, I was doing really well. Right now, not so much. But I did really well for a little bit. For a good 6-7 years, I did really well. Now I'm back in a fast food job at the moment. I'm hoping to be out of that soon, but at the moment I'm back in a fast food job and I'm not making enough money to survive. I'm just not. I guarantee the McDonald's employee that went to cash in saw that there was a reward. Wow, I saw that guy. Maybe I can change my life with this $60,000, and everybody's mad at them. Why? Most of us have been there. There's no fucking way you know where that killer is and someone's like, hey, where'd they go? I'll give you $60,000. That you're going to be like, I don't know. If somebody is struggling just to survive and they see an opportunity to change their life, you should not be angry at them. They didn't do anything wrong except for turn somebody in. If you don't think that you should snitch on people, then great. I don't disagree with you, but I do disagree with the fact that struggling people should have to continue to struggle just so that people online aren't assholes to them. Anyways, we need to fix our healthcare, and violence is not going to fix it. Go out and vote for people that actually want to change the healthcare system. Show up to the elections. Vote for people that are going to make changes. Don't just vote for people because insert reason here. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching. Let me know your opinion down below in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.